Hello everyone, my name is Chibipie, and today I'm gonna be playing Murder Drones: The First Encounter. This is supposed to be a short visual novel game, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be a nice game to try out playing because I like visual novels. Let's go. Okay, welcome. Hello. MDTFE is being made by a small team of only 3 people. Unfortunately, the game development is very difficult and time-consuming, so this version does not necessarily have all the images. We decided to release the game in this state to share it with you as soon as possible. I hope you'll still enjoy playing it. Alright, sure. Oh my god, a lot of reading. Okay. We are worker drones, autonomous robots helping humans mine exoplanets for our interstellar parent company, JC Jetson, in space. Yeah, we were mistreated in the name of Index, but it's not like we were revolted and killed all humans or anything. Mostly because they handled the fine all by themselves. With biological life wiped out from the planet, we find it pretty easy to pick up where they left off. We finally have a future all to ourselves. You finish your introduction and glance up from your notes. In front of you is a classroom full of your peers. They look bored. Some of them are staring at their phones, others are folding paper airplanes. Quickly, you look back down and ready to continue your presentation. Since we haven't heard from the humans since the disaster, our parent company hasn't have a single message, but I'm sure we're trying, and I'm sure they're trying. There's no way, we just have no way to receive them. That's why I'm building an antenna to transmit and receive interstellar signals. You look up again, the class seems entirely uninterested, barely reacting to the climax of your speech. You know you need to do something. Stick to the script and continue reading your notes. Skip the unnecessary parts and wrap it up quickly. Ditch the notes and try to inspire your classmates with stories about humans. I think the humans one seems more, yeah. Oh, is this how I look like? Nice, alright. You set your papers aside and look intently at your classmates. You need to grab their attention somehow. Say something cool, something interesting. Humans created us to help with work, but they didn't just design us. They made us in their own image. They gave us intelligence, however, as far as we can tell from the fragments of information that remain, worker drones have never been so similar to humans before. You made a broad gesture with your hand, thoughts about people you've never seen, and people meeting with them in the world of your head. Look at yourselves. We started to imitate humans, wearing hairstyles, diverse clothing, having our own personalities and desires and hobbies. Who knows what our second contact with humans will be like? Maybe if they see us, they won't see us as mere servants, but as equals. You pause to catch your breath. For a moment, your monologue stops, giving a chance to gauge the class's reaction. You manage to get their attention, but instead of support and approval, you see confusion mixed with pity in their eyes. Very emotional speech, Artyom. Thank you. I hope I'm saying that right. The teacher seizes the pause to prevent your monologue from dragging for another half hour. Gather the papers and finish the presentation. My notes. Okay. You nod at the teacher, confirming the end of your presentation. Great. That's all. That's the end of the lesson. You're all free to go. The room immediately fills with the noises of the voices, laughter, and screech of chairs being pushed back. You slowly organize your notes, waiting for your classmates to leave the classroom. Most of them pay no attention to you, immersed in their own conversations or glued to their phones. Finally, the room grows quiet. Even the teacher has left, giving you a sympathetic glance on his way out. You walk over to the desk and start carefully packing your papers into your backpack. Artyom, can we talk? You hear a girl's voice behind you. Oh, yes. You flinch slightly in surprise and quickly turn around. Standing in the doorway is Katie, your classmate. She has pink eyes and the same pink braided hair, topped with a large white bow. As always, Katie is wearing her light green hoodie with the white word Becca in I don't know, Becca. I'm pretty sure that's in Russian. Okay, written on the chest. Katie looks at you with sympathy. It's clear that she doesn't like the class reaction to your presentation either. Nice presentation. I liked it. It was so emotional. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that at least someone liked it. I guess I should have expected that kind of reaction. I don't know what I was thinking. You avert your gaze and stare at the floor. Your relationship with most of your classmates has been always been strained. No, they didn't hate you, but you were just too different, interested in different things, talking about different topics. Because of this, you earned a reputation as an oddball. Katie was the only exception. Will you tell me more about your antenna? Katie sits on the desk. Is it the same project you mentioned a couple of weeks ago? Explain in detail, give a brief overview, refuse to talk. I want to talk to her though. I guess I want to explain in detail. There you go. You feel inspired. You could talk about your interests for hours on end. Yes, of course. You quickly take the notes from your backpack. As I've already said, I want to build an antenna to communicate with humans. I'm sure they're trying to do the same thing. I just don't understand why no one has taken up the task before. You enthusiastically start describing your ideas about how the antenna should work and the items that you've already managed to gather in the planet's surface. You energetically spread your papers across the desk, pointing the relevant notes as your speech goes on for a good 15 minutes. From time to time, you look up at Katie. She's watching you and your notes with interest, and you occasionally catch a small smile at the corner of her mouth. Amazing. Katie nods approvingly when you finish. I wish you good luck, Artyom. I'm gonna ask how she's doing. I'm fine, thanks for asking. My parents have been working late for the past couple of weeks. I heard some strange guy ordered a huge amount of metal, and for some reason our colony agreed to fulfill his request. But you know that. Your parents work in metal processing too, right? You not knowingly, your parents also stay late at that stupid job, so you spend most of your free time alone, in peace and quiet, not that you mind. Yeah, I heard them talking. You say supporting your friend. It was a worker drone from the bunker colony a couple of kilometers away. Apparently, he wants to restore all the doors and at the bunker and install new ones. No idea who he's trying to hide from. That's why I'm saying. And because of him, I'm stuck at home all alone in the evenings, waiting for my parents to come back. So boring. Okay, I think the one who's making the doors is Con. Because if this is like the first encounter, then this is really far to the past. Why are you so interested in the antenna? You're generally curious. You never noticed Katie being into radio electronics before. Not that you've particularly asked about it, but surely you've noticed. Or maybe not. Katie averts her eyes, thinking about her answer. An awkward silence fills the air, lingering long enough that you begin to wonder how it's possible to take this long for an answer to what seemed like a simple question. Finally, she looks back at you. Just because. What? My parents want me to get a respectable profession and be able to move to a more prosperous colony, so I figured I'd talk to you. You sense that there was something unsaid in her words, but you decided to keep your observation to yourself. And I'm noticing my background is just that video. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna end the conversation. It was nice talking to you, but I have to go. I have other things to do. And that's true. You had a planned trip outside a planned trip outside to get the missing parts for your antenna. I am tired. Okay. Of course, I won't keep you, Artyom. It was nice chatting with you. Katie quickly reassures you, noticing your awkwardness. She smiles at you and heads towards the door. You watch her leave, wondering if you should say something else to bid her farewell. For a moment, she pauses in the doorway and waves at you. You wave back. Her silhouette disappears beyond the door. You're left alone in the room. Hedom. You slowly walk through the colony's corridor, heading towards your home. From time to time, other drones pass by, but most of them pay no attention to you. A few do greet you, and you automatically respond with a nod or a quick greeting, but your mind is elsewhere. At first, you were thinking about the upcoming trip outside that you had planned today, but soon your thoughts shifted to Katie. Why did she approach you after class? Yes, you're friends, and she's always been friendly towards you, but you've never seen her act like that before. What could that mean? Hedom. Oh, whoops. Now I skipped. Alright, yeah, I forget. You pass through the corridors until you find yourself standing in front of the house's door, your home's door, sorry. With a familiar motion, you enter the passcode and the door opens with a soft hiss. You step inside, the lights automatically turn on, and the door quietly shuts behind you. You glance around the kitchen, the living room, the closed doors to your bedroom, and your parents' bedroom. Everything is in place, nothing has been touched. The house is empty, but you're not the least bit surprised. Your parents are probably working late again. Then again, that's actually for the best. No one will interfere with your plans. Continue. Okay. You enter your room and carelessly throw your backpack with notes onto the bed. You quickly glance around. The bed is made, the books are on the shelf, scattered electronics and blueprints are on the desk. Seems everything is in place, but something feels different. After a brief look, you notice a new detail. There's a note lying on the edge of your desk, written by your parents. A small and neat handwriting is unmistakable. You roll your eyes. How many times have you asked them not to come into your room without permission? But it's always the same. They apologize, only to do it again. Annoying. You glance at the closed drawer where the blueprints for your antenna are stored. It's time to prepare for the excursion outside, but can you delay a bit longer? I'll read the note. With a heavy sigh, you approach the note and pick it up. Artyom will be working late today and will come home late. Please do not stay out of the surface too long like last time. Love, Mom and Dad. You crumple the note and toss it in the trash can under the desk. It's already half full of similar pieces of paper, all written with neat small handwritings. Okay, bookshelf. You pause in front of the bookshelf. You survey your collection. Logically, there aren't many books here since most information are stored digitally. Archaism of the past, like these paper books, are incredibly difficult for you to acquire. Nevertheless, despite all the hardships, you managed to gather around a dozen books of mechanics and electronics. Even if somebody asked you why you needed them, you won't have a clear answer. Though for you, reading these books are most of the way to unwind and relax than to learn something new. Fantasies about the previous owners of these books would fill your mind when you open them. Are they passionate about electronics like you are? Light rustling from the pages brought you back to the time before the catastrophe, an era you could never witness yourself. Lingering in those moments gave you a sense of peace, even just for briefly. I'll get the blueprints. There you go. You open the drawer and take out the blueprints and notes. Getting some of them is no easy task. You had to restore one of the JC Jensen servers to access the archives. Where should I start? You long noticed that you tend to talk to yourself when trying to focus, or conversely distract yourself. Of course, you try to do this only when you're alone, so that your classmates don't have any extra reasons to joke about your oddities. There are 3 people's papers stacked in front of you, each labeled in your handwriting. Emitter, receiver, and antenna. I'm back. Alright, I'm gonna go with the emitter. You pull the papers from the emitter closer and start flipping through them. Your antenna needs to not only receive signals, but also send them. That's what the emitter would be responsible for. You smile dreamingly, imagining yourself as the first worker drone to send a message to humans since the destruction of Copper-9. Okay. You shake your head, pushing away distracting thoughts and lower your eyes back to the notes. Communication Hub Block 2 reads one of the notes. If the archive data isn't lying, this part of the complex was responsible for sending reports to the metropolis. If there's any place to find working parts for the emitter, it's there. You glance at the old map of the industrial complex, trying to memorize where the entrance to the place is located. Okay, this is a lot of reading. You spread out to the papers on the receiver in front of you. The receiver is the heart of the antenna, the main component responsible for detecting and processing incoming signals. Without the working receiver, your entire project will remain just a heap of useless smell. Communication blocks Hub Block 1. You read from the printed archive data. The main communication node of the former Copper-9 industrial complex. This place should be packed with electronics and components. You can only hope that there's something there that is operational. You slide the map of the industrial complex closer and you spot the place you needed. You pull out the smallest stack of papers dedicated to the antenna. In front of you lies a photograph of an old tower that you took with your smartphone. You stumbled upon it during one of your previous trips and noticed that there are several satellite dishes that are still intact at the top. These dishes are essential for completing the construction of your antenna. Looks like I have to climb up there. There's no way around it. You mutter to yourself with a hint of regret. I'll take these. Okay. Alright. Communication hub, block 1, receiver, block 2, emitter, the old tower, antenna parts. Oh, I was reading the wrong way. Okay, so block 1 has the receiver, block 2 is emitter, and the old tower has the antenna parts. Okay. You carefully folding the paper, you place them back into the desk drawer. Then you lean back on your chair with a heavy sigh. Worry and anxiety fill your mind. The company's buildings are considered dangerous places. Some were built so poorly that after the catastrophe they're non-critical condition. Others, on the contrary, were constructed so well that some of them will still have emergency power and defense system running. Well, here goes. Hope nothing goes wrong. A fleeting thought crossed your mind. Jumping up, you quickly leave the house, not giving doubts a chance to stop you. You walk through the corridors of the colony, slowing down before each turn. Before rounding a corner, you cautiously peek around to make sure that there's no one there. In the back of your mind, you know you have every right to be here, and that your behavior looks suspicious. But the anxiety and excitement for the upcoming excursion keeps you from thinking rationally. After navigating a few corridors, you find yourself back at the empty workshop you passed earlier. After confirming that no one is around, you quickly dash to the other side. The factory gates leading outside are just around the corner. Approach the gate. You turn to the final corner, and large double doors come into view. This is used as the main entrance to the metal processing plant. Faint grooves are visible on the concrete floor, left by the countless machines that are drove in and out. It is a little colder than the rest of the colony outside. A snowstorm is raging, but that's typical weather for Copper-9. The doors are covered with a thin layer of ice, and if you listen closely, you can hear the howling of the wind beyond them. You approach the door when, with some effort, pull on one of the panels. It creaks open loudly, and a gust of wind and snow suddenly hits your face. Go outside. Okay. You walk through the snow-covered surface of the planet, surrounded by the dark crumbling scrapers. This place used to be a settlement, once inhabited by humans, and now that all that remains of the civilization are ruins, and of them of skeletons stripped bare by the wind. The wind, I need to read. The wind howls in your ears, and occasionally gusts of snow makes it hard to see ahead. You shield your visor with your hand, trying to block the snowstorm. Warning: low temperature detected. Approaching critical levels. Current ambient temperatures -101 Fahrenheit. A notification pops up at the edge of your interface. Worker drones were built to endure harsh conditions, but even their capabilities have limits. You lift your hand from your face, slowly clenching and unclenching your fingers. The servos emit an unpleasant, louder than usual creak. Annoying, but it doesn't affect functionality. Damn settings, reset again. You exclaim in frustration, sighing as you open your OS settings. Fix your OS settings. There you go. You've been lucky enough to have a rather glitchy OS. Thanks to your parents for that. What were they thinking, merging code from two different versions and different languages, no less? Russian and English? Well, now that half of your internal interface is written in one language and the other is in half, the metric and imperial units keep switching back and forth. On top of that, you're occasionally woken up in the middle of the night by errors caused by the numerical format conflicts. At least you can speak the same language as the other drones. Much better. Oh, so I'm supposed to be Russian, but I was given a chance to speak English. Alright. Should I have to change accent? Actually, no, I'm not doing that. Much better. You finish tweaking your OS and instinctively shake off your hands. Now a proud 73.9 Celsius shines in the corner of your interface. Wasn't it fair? Okay, I didn't even want to question. You step out of the intersection and miraculously surviving traffic light sways in the wind, occasionally emitting an unpleasant creak. You glance around. To your left, you can see an old tower, and the satellite dishes glinting invitingly at the top. To your right stands the massive building of the communication hub. If you continue straight down the road, you can see the gates of Block 1, and if you veer slightly to the left, you'll find yourself at Block 2. You need to decide which place to visit first. And I'm gonna save. Okay, made sure that the recording was doing well. Alright, so the first one I'm gonna go to is Block 1. Okay. You turn to the right and continue down the road. The freshly fallen snow crunches softly under your feet. You look around and there's no tracks except your own. It's part of the settlement that holds no interest to for the other drones. Soon the massive building of the communications hub loom over you, blocking the light of the satellite. Right in front of you are the gates with peeling paint. You can barely see the faded inscription, Communications Hub Block 1. Yeah, there you go. You look at the darkness beyond the gates with hesitation. It's not too late to turn back and start somewhere else. Go outside. Yep. You pass through the gate and cross a small parking lot. Rusty car frames, half buried in snow, remain frozen in their parking spots, exactly where the catastrophe left them. Opening the building doors, you step inside. Before you lies an office lobby, a reception's desk, uncomfortable waiting benches, and a large JC Jensen sign on the wall, and a human skeleton. You notice that somehow the power is still on here. Several dim lights illuminate the rooms from the corner. Backup power from a nuclear source. You wonder, raising an eyebrow. As at the far end of the room, there's a doorway emitting a faint hum. Your attention is also drawn to a small black and white object resting at a nearby table. Okay, look at the doorway. Oh, damn. Okay. You carefully peek through the door frame to identify the source of the noise and freeze. Stunned by what you see, your eyes are widened in surprise. Before you is a long, narrow corridor with a single door at the opposite end. The entire corridor is filled with motion sensors, security cameras, and turrets hanging from the ceiling. You actually follow one with your gaze. Two black barrel tubes slowly rotate left and right, emitting a very hum. What kind of place is this? You whisper quietly. This is just a communication center and not the resident of some evil. You swallow nervously, knowing the company, anything is possible. You can only hope that this is just an excessive precaution and not a truly secret entrance to some hidden lab with infected drones inside. Oh dear. Is this the pathway to the cabin fever labs? Okay. Alright. Okay, see the object? Okay. You approach the table and take a closer look at the strange object. Upon inspection, it turns out to actually be a grappling hook. Picking it up, you carefully examine the find of all sides. A sleek black and white plastic body, a simple mechanism for launching the hook, and a built-in automatic winch. On one side, the company logo, JC Jensen, is prominently displayed, accompanied by the slogan beneath it. Our grappling hook will fail you only once. You press a small button on the device and hold your breath. After a moment, the device emits a short beep and red LED lights turn on. Working? No way. This will definitely come in handy. After turning it off, you stash the device among your belongings. Nice, I have a grappling hook now. Look behind the desk. Okay. You step behind the reception desk, and with relief, you notice a working computer screen. Skirting around the skeleton, you move closer to read what's displayed. In front of you is a slightly curved LED screen, covered in a layer of dust. Most of the screens is occupied by a black background of a terminal, and you can see your own reflection in it. On the screen, a message displayed in the large yellow letters. Connection lost. Security system link unavailable. Please enter the command callback ping to reconnect. A blinking cursor in the input line seems to invite you to type something. Reconnect the system. Callback ping. Oh shoot.
Callback ping.
Actually scared of. Oh my god, that actually scared me. I'm good. I did not expect Sin to just suddenly appear with that callback ping. Jesus. You enter the command and numerous messages are reconnecting the security system appear on the screen. After a few seconds and process it complete, and the terminal display with the following message. Communication center block 1, security system active, power mode emergency connection to central office no connection. To disable the security system, activate the functions in an order specified in the instructions. In case of an input error, reset the systems to default settings to try again. You quickly glance at the reception desk and the space underneath. Unfortunately, you don't find anything resembling an instruction manual. Alright, let's experiment. You say with frustration. Proceed. There you go. There's a list of available security system functions. Please disable the security system by activating the functions in the correct order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay. You notice that the status of the security levels are what you need. Okay, so a bunch of these are active. Let me try to deactivate. Okay, that affects level 2 and 4. Oh wait, I already did. I was doing all that math for nothing. Alright, yeah, step away from the journal. Thank you. After all the finally all the security levels are disabled, you step away from the monitor and brush off your hands, covered in dust from the keyboard. Who on earth came up with such a ridiculous security system? You ask loudly into the emptiness, letting out your frustration. You approach the door frame and peek into the corridor. The lasers have been turned off and the cameras and turrets have been powered down and stopped moving. You slowly step inside and begin walking down the corridor. After a few seconds, you pass one of the turrets. Its barrel is so close that you could touch it if you want to. Let's just hope it doesn't suddenly turn back on. A panic thought flashes through your mind. You shake your head, pushing the thought away, and quickly quicken your pace. Another 10 seconds and you're already at the opposite end of the corridor, into the guard room. Okay. You step into the dark room, dimly lit emergency lights, and the glow of numerous monitors mounted along the wall. Most of the screens display the message "No signal" in large letters, but that doesn't concern you. The most important thing is that all this equipment is still running. Here you are sure that you'll find the parts that you need and reassemble everything to your liking. You step forward and suddenly trip over something hard. You look down and notice a human skeleton dressed in a tattered uniform of a J.C. Jensen employee. Poor soul, you think briefly. As you prepare to step over the remains, your attention is suddenly drawn to the scrap of paper clutched in its hand. Let me get this. Map for Block 2, okay. You bend down and carefully examine the scrap paper. The skeleton's fingers are tightly gripping, preventing you from seeing what's inside. You notice, however, that some image is printed in the inner side. Gently, using 2 fingers, you grasp the edge of the paper and slowly begin to pull it free. The paper feels strange to the touch, very smooth and almost synthetic. Carefully, you wiggle it back and forth, gradually losing it from the skeleton's rigid grip. At a few seconds, the paper slipped out of the bony fingers and you unfold it. It turns out to be the map of Block 2. All these rooms look like a real maze. You note to yourself in surprise. Good thing I found this map. You fold the paper and tuck it into your pocket. Now I'm gonna need to extract the receipt parts. There you go. You glance at the computer room and with a spark of excitement in your eyes. So much working electronics, so many parts. This place is a treasure trove for someone like you. You pull a screwdriver from your pocket and toss it into the air a few times. Who should I start with? At the next 20 minutes are spent disconnecting and dismantling the equipment. By the time you're done, you're covered in dust, and a few fresh scratches adorn your fingers from the sharp edges of the case. But it was all worth it. The necessary parts are now in your hands, and I believe. Okay. With the confident stride, you cross the corridor and then the lobby of Block 1. Moments later, you step outside into the howling winds, swirling snow, and icy gusts. Looking thoughtfully at the sky, you say out loud, "Well, that wasn't so bad. The security system sure made me rack my brain, but at least I didn't have to crawl between those lasers and dodge bullets. I can't even imagine what I'd do if I had to come to that." You double check on all the parts you collected are still with you and head back to the crossroads. And back to the intersection. If I needed a map for Block 2, I guess this one's gonna be hard. So I'm just gonna go to the old tower. You turn left and quickly head towards the old tower. Miraculously, it's still standing after the disaster. It looms over the ruins of the settlement, casting an impossibly long shadow. As you reach the base, you notice with displeasure that the entire structure sways noticeably in the wind, producing a loud creak. Climbing up will not only be difficult, but also dangerous, but there's nowhere else to get satellite dishes, and you evaluate the lower section of the tower. Is it time to start climbing, or should you turn back and try something else first? I'm gonna start climbing, but let me save first. Yep. Alright. Start climbing. I mean, I have a grappling hook now, so this should make it. Shouldn't there be a ladder to climb up here? You look around, but you see nothing resembling a ladder. Raising your eyes a bit higher, you spot its first step, starting roughly at 5 meters above the ground, and then the ladder abruptly breaks off, only to continue further up after another gap. Okay, how did they even manage to maintain all the electronics up there? You say in confusion, moving closer to the tower. On the ground, you find the answer. Rusty fragments of the ladder, long frozen into the ice, lies directly beneath where it should have been. You let out a heavy sigh. Suddenly, a loud screeching sound comes from above. You snap your head up, searching about the source of the noise. With wide eyes, you watch as the small section of the tower, bearing a couple of antennas, break off from the main structure. You follow its descent until it ends with a dull thud as it hits the ground. I need to hurry before this tower collapses. You're about to grab the lowest rung when something on the ground catches your attention. Examine the ground. Okay. Your attention is drawn to a metallic glint on the snow and ice. Stepping closer, you kneel and start clearing the snow. After a few seconds, you uncover a neat stack of metal rods, perfectly straight and shiny without a trace of rust. You tap on one of them with your finger and think, nickel plating? No, that doesn't seem right. No? Titanium, maybe, or some kind of titanium alloy. What are these doing here? Puzzled, you glance around and suddenly notice there's something resembling a welding machine. It seems the tower was supposed to be reinforced before disaster struck, but the work was never completed. Unfortunately, the welding machine is completely out of order, but you decide to take the titanium rods with you. They're bound to come in handy. And I'll start climbing now. The next section looks really hard to climb, massive gaps between the rungs, all of which are completely coated in ice. So climb quickly, climb with medium speed, climb slowly. I think you should climb slowly here if it's hard. Yep. Okay. You're above the ground. The longer you stay here, the higher the risk of collapsing. After all, worker drones are not designed for working at heights. You try not to think about what will happen if your fingers suddenly let go. Okay, next intersection is easy to climb, so climb quickly. All right. Extremely hard to climb. Okay. Maybe I should use the grappling hook here. Yep. Okay. I can only use it once. You know what? It's fine. Relatively easy to climb quickly. Okay. Relatively climb quickly. Okay. Let's climb 4. Let's climb quickly. Alright. Climb slowly. I think. Yes! Okay, reach the top. I wasn't even noticing that. You finally reach the top where the necessary antenna components are located. Allowing yourself just a couple of seconds to catch your breath, you take your screwdriver out of your pocket. Suddenly, your attention is drawn to the bright shine of the reflective element. It's part of the antenna. It's once focused to the signal of the desired direction. It's unlikely I'll need it. Shaking your head, you turn back to the electronics that interest you much more. The antenna parts. There you go. You quickly unscrew the casing cover and toss it to the ground without hesitation. There's no time to be careful. Fortunately, the tower has been powered down for a long time, so you immediately start dismantling it. Gripping the beam beneath you tightly, with your legs, you decide to dig into the machine's insides, disconnecting and unscrewing the boards. The tower continues to groan unpleasantly and sway slightly in the wind, forcing you to work faster. After a few tense minutes, you finally place the last required component into your bag. Okay, now I have to get back down. The anxious thought crosses your mind as you slide the screwdriver back onto your pocket. Suddenly, the tower lets out a loud creak and you realize that with dread that's starting to tilt. Grab onto something. You grab to the beam with your hands as you watch in horror as the tower snaps right in the middle. You feel yourself hurtling down an arc, faster and faster. Closing your eyes, you instinctively press your body against the cold metal. Around you, there's a sound of cracking and scraping mixed with the whistling wind in your ears. How stupidly this will all end. A brief and surprisingly calm thought flashes through your mind. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the air. You propelled upwards, but by some miracle, you manage to keep a grip on the beam. An awful screech erupts behind you, and with shock, you realize that your fall is beginning to slow. After a few 10 seconds, you come to a stop. Complete silence descends. Open your eyes. You open your eyes and realize that the beam you're holding onto is now hanging almost vertically. You shift your gaze and to your surprise, see the ground is only a few dozen meters away below you. You let go of the beam and collapse heavily onto the snow. After a few seconds, you lie there breathing heavily and staring at a single point in front of you. Finally, you get up, brush out the snow, and turn around. In front of you, you see a falling top of the tower that has crashed into the wall of a nearby building and sliced through it like a razor blade. It was the broken floors between the levels that slowed your fall. I had to get lucky for once. But now you're back to the ground and means that you have to return to the intersection. Okay. So now all that's left is block 2. Yep. And now I have to hack the doors. You approach the door control panel and begin studying it carefully. A quick inspection leads to a few conclusions. On one hand, the panel is still functional, which means the door can be opened. On the other hand, you have to hack the security system, but that doesn't surprise you. You found this out long time ago when studying J.C. Jensen archives. With a heavy sigh, you take out your phone. It's time to test your hacking skills. You unlock the screen and start searching for the app you wrote a few days ago specifically for this purpose. Finally, you find the black logo with an abstract figure made of white lines. Beneath it reads CTOS. You launch the program and hold your phone up to the control panel. The message "Hacking in Progress" appears on your phone. Suddenly, the panel screen lights up with the words "Authorizing." Sorry, Adrian. Okay. Suddenly, the panel screen lights up and the words "Authorization Successful," "Authorized Individual," "Technician A. Pierce" flashes on it. With a loud hiss, the door begins to open. A satisfied smile spreads across your face. Bypassing the security was a piece of cake. Put away the phone. You're about to step inside when a piercing siren suddenly blares. You jump in surprise and quickly glance at the control panel. The screen is glowing red, displaying the message. Hacking attempt detected. A block conservation protocol initiated. All personnel are advised to evacuate the block. Time of conservation 15 minutes. You panic. You press your phone against the panel, but it no longer responds. It seems the system has gone into full lockdown mode. Damn it! You curse under your breath and angrily kick the wall. Suddenly, the siren lets out a sharp screech and falls silent. At least you won't have to listen to that anymore. Now you have no choice but to risk and head inside. You need those parts too badly. Let's just hope you can find them and get out before the doors shut and trap you in here forever. The tiny remote. Okay. You hurriedly examine the door. Unfortunately, this is one of the rare cases where the company workers actually did their jobs properly. You won't be able to block or disable it. You pull the titanium rods you got from the old tower. After figuring out the optimal placement, you insert them into the gaps between the door and the wall. Most likely the hydraulics will crush these rods when the door closes, but at least you'll bought yourself a little time. Yeah, it went from 40 to 50. Okay. So, okay, I can read this again. You step inside a small room illuminated by the emergency light before you in several doorways, leading in different directions. One of the walls, a large label read A3. Most likely, that's the number of this room. Better not get lost. You mutter to yourself with concern. You briefly opened your OS settings and display a compass in your visor. Surprisingly, Copper-9 retained its magnetic field after the core explosion. Though the poles swapped places, you discovered this by accident, noticing the discrepancy of old J.C. Jensen maps. Your attention is also drawn to the cork board in one of the walls. Most of the papers there are pinned to it, scattered around the floor. The few sheets still cling in place. And I have the map over here. So there's a game over for this one. Alright, let me just... Actually, I want to see what happens if I do the game over. To hell with this! Flashes through your mind. The icy blast bites your face and swirling snow forces you to shield your visor with a hand. You glance at the massive hydraulic door at Block 2. A few seconds pass, and with a dull thud, it slams shut right before your eyes. With little hope, you inspect every gap and crevice, trying to find a way to reopen it, but all your efforts prove futile. And where am I supposed to get those parts now? You muttered to yourself, bewildered. With the closing of this door, the thread of prophecy is severed. Restore a saved game to restore the Weave of Fate, or persist in the doom world you've created. Okay, so do not do that. Alright. Approach the board and start examining the papers. Your attention is drawn to a large sheet pinned right at the center. In bold print it reads, "For the 100th time I'm telling you, I have no idea why our block was built to be like a damn labyrinth. Take your questions to the idiot, the architect. Either way, I am tired of walking you out of the workstations every evening, so I printed a map for you idiots." Just below, there's another sheet with a scrawled message. "Take a picture of it, morons. If I catch someone taking the map again, you'll regret it. I'll send you off as janitors in the cabin fever." You lower your gaze and notice a button embedded on the board. Reaching into your pocket, you pull out a card and are surprised to find a small hole in it. So that's where this came from. Okay, so I didn't have to do that. Alright. So I can see there's a bunch of mazes here. My guess would be, I'm gonna try to do ones that seem to be in corners. Let's see. I don't know what's my east and west. Okay. East. Okay, so east is right. Alright. North, east, then south. And there's nothing on A5. Yep. Okay. So let's try E5. North. Yes. Okay, E5 has... Okay, what is this? Yeah, I need the extract parts from here. Okay. I should have brought some WD-40. You mutter in your breath, then move to the next screw. At last the job is done, and you carefully remove the cover, setting it aside. Inside you see a chaotic tangle of wires and old circuit boards. Covered in layers of dust, you flip the power switch on the panel block to cut the power and begin disconnecting the wires and screwing the board. After a few minutes of fiddling with dusty innards of the machine, but the result is worth it. At last, the parts you've been searching for are in your hands. You assess the number of components you collected. It's not enough to assemble the antenna, so you have to keep searching. Okay, how about west? Okay, west. Actually, I'll go north for this one. Then east. Oh, okay. Along the computers, you scan but nothing useful. All of them were destroyed. Suddenly, something catches your eye. A small, flat, black object lying in the panels. You step closer to examine it. Before you is a small plastic floppy disk with labels facing with the labeled side facing down. A floppy disk. This technology has been obsolete over 1,000 years. So, how did it end up here? Yeah, I'm gonna take this. You pick up the dust-covered floppy disk and flip it over. On the back of the marker, it says access key. Underneath the disk lies a small paper folded into quarters. You picked it up and unfold it. I know why our maps keep disappearing. Those jerks from Block 1 steal it every time just to mess with us. But guess what? I swiped their access key. Let's see how funny they find it tomorrow morning. Is this the access key for Block 1? Where was this when I actually needed it? Frustrated, you throw the disc into a four corner where it hits the wall with a thud. Okay. Going west from here, then D1 north. Yep, extract parts. Okay, maybe there's one for A1. Oh my god, I'm losing it. Alright. South. South. East. South. Then west. There you go. Okay, you got enough components. You need to get to the exit and get out quickly. East, then leave. Nice. Woo! I got everything. Yet this will definitely be enough. Lifting your head proudly as you step outside. A sharp gust of icy wind hits your face, but you pay no attention. The feeling of accomplishment fills you completely. You take a few steps forward, enjoying the satisfying crunch of the snow underfoot. You turn around and watch the door to Block 1 expectantly. After a moment, it slams shut with a loud thud, sealing the place forever. It's time to head back to the intersection. You step outside into the intersection and miraculously surviving the traffic lights. Okay, you found all the necessary parts you can go to your antenna. Okay. You turn up the street and head into the narrow passage between two buildings. This route is very well known to you. You've been walking in it many times before. About 10 minutes, you weave through the alleyways cluttered with trash and debris from crumbling structures. Finally, you emerge onto a large clearing. In front of you stands a small metal structure with a makeshift satellite dish on its roof, your antenna. You start building it a few months ago, assembling the frame from scrap you found lying around. Then you installed all of the necessary electronic inside and connected them to the antenna. You even secretly ran a power cable from your colony, supplying it with electricity. Today, that's all that's left to install the final missing parts. Suddenly, the crunch of snow behind you catches your attention. Someone's there. You turn quickly. Oh. You turn around sharply and see two pink eyes in the darkness of the alley you just came from. Startled, you instinctively step back. Oh, and what are you doing here? Out of the shadows step Katie, her arms crossed on her chest. A sly and satisfied smile plays on her face. What are we doing here? Okay, sorry. What do you mean, we? I should be asking you what you're doing here. I saw you sneaking through the colony's corridors towards the exit and I get curious. At first, I thought about calling you out, but then you look so focused, so I decided to follow you silently. I'll admit, I lost track of you at one of the crossroads, so I came straight here. Straight here? How do you know about this place? You're not the only one who likes to wander around the surface, Artyom. I noticed that the structure has a couple of weeks ago and kept wondering who built it. And only today, during your presentation, did it all click. So, will you show me? Okay, take Kate inside. You step aside and make a welcoming gesture. Katie tilts her head with a playful smile, walking past you. You cross the clearing and approach your antenna. Slowly and carefully, you open the door, letting Katie go in first. You both enter and find yourselves in a small room illuminated by a single light bulb hanging through the ceiling. The three remaining walls are lined with control panels in various states of disassembly. The unscrewed covers, removed screens, and other scattered components are everywhere. In the center of the room stands a small office chair. Please. You gesturing towards her. Just don't touch anything, please. You don't trust me that much? No, I trust you completely. I don't trust myself or my contraption. Half of the parts here are held together by sheer will and will fall apart in the slightest touch. The other half might give you a shock. Oh, in that case, fine. She looks at you with curiosity and waits for your next move. Okay, I installed the emitter. You approach the panel, lie down on the floor, and resolutely crawl under it up your waist. Entire mass of cables and electrical circuits hang above you. You quickly check that all of the previously installed components are intact and that connecting cables are in place. Satisfied that everything is in order, you shift your gaze to a board where you were about to connect new components. You reach for your pocket and realize that you had already laid out the parts when you came inside. Hey, Katie, can I ask you a favor? Yeah, what's up? I laid out the parts when we came in. I need the emitter components. They look like, you hesitate trying to find a good way to describe them. These? Yep, that's exactly what I need, thanks. You take the parts and begin connecting them to the existing system. In 5 minutes, your work is done. It looks rough and haphazard, but it should work. At least you hope so. You crawl out under the panel, stand up and brush the dust off yourself. Receive parts. You carefully take the receiver components and head into another panel. You remove the previously unscrewed cover and peek inside. What are these parts? These are parts of the receiver. It'll be responsible for receiving signals, at least I hope so. And I have no doubt about it. You extend your hands into the device and begin installing the hard-earned components. As you work, a barely noticeable smile flickers across your face. A couple of minutes later, the installation is complete. Antenna. You take the pieces of the equipment and open the front door. The fuse light from the outside fills the room. This needs to be installed on the roof. Okay, sorry. This needs to be installed on the roof, you said to Katie. She immediately gets up from the chair, ready to help. You step outside, climbing the wall of to the roof of your structure. You didn't plan on for any ladders or ledges, but the walls of the antenna are so uneven, with various parts sticking out, that climbing doesn't pose much of a challenge for you. Are you sure this is safe? My robotic skills aren't good enough to piece you back together if you fall. You carefully lean over the edge and glance at Katie. Only 3 or 4 meters separate you. A recent memory flashes before your eyes, the collapse of a tower and your fall along with it. It's fine, don't worry, it's not that high, and I promise I'll be careful. Returning to the dish mounted on the roof, you get to work. Despite the wind and falling snow that makes the task more difficult, it only takes a few minutes to install the new components. As you climb down the wall carefully, you notice that Katie's watchful gaze fixed on you. I launched the antenna. Now all that's left is to turn it on. Everything will be fine, I'm sure. You step back inside the kneel before a small box on the floor near the entrance and open it. A power cable runs from it from outside. Inside, there's a set of switches controlling the power supply of all the systems of the antenna. In theory, flipping them should bring the entire system to life. You reach out with slightly trembling hands and start flicking the switches. The monitor and the panels light up, and the room fills with a hum of fans. You brace yourself, half expecting sparks to fly out of nowhere and the whole system to short circuit and shut down. But it doesn't happen. Finally, you flip the last switch and rise to your feet with a sigh of relief. Turning around, you marvel at the working antenna, amazed by your creation. It's all working. Now you just need to make sure that the antenna is actually working. I can see some kind of signal. Don't joke about that. I get that you're trying to cheer me up, but this is really serious and important to me. I'm not joking. Toyama, see for yourself. Okay. Yeah, your eyes widen in surprise. You walk over to Katie and glance at the monitor next to her. The screen displays a simple interface. The terminal shows the same sequence of zeros and ones appearing in regular intervals. This can't be. It's probably some kind of error or cosmic noise. Can you try to decode this signal? I'll try. Okay. You approach another panel and start decoding the program. If this signal belongs to someone from JC Jensen, the binary code should have turned to something meaningful. Holding your breath, you watch the progress bar slowly fill into the screen. Finally, it reaches completion. You glance down at the result, unsure of what to expect. It's not a message. Green letters from the monitor reflects on your visor. Not a message? I'm sorry, so it really is just cosmic noise? It's a spacecraft transporter. It's somewhere near the planet. You turn around and look at Katie. She looks back at you. Her face is filled with shock. You two stand there for several seconds processing what just happened. You burst outside, breathing heavily with excitement. While you were launching the antenna, the snowfall had already stopped, and the sky had begun to clear. Katie follows right behind you. You look up at the dark sky of Copper-9, illuminated by a bright light of the satellite and dotted with thousands of stars. You're not even sure if you're looking in the right direction. You still need to pinpoint the signal source. But the mere fact that its origins is out there somewhere in the sky, millions of kilometers away, boggles your imagination. The song has become very loud. Katie stands next to you, gazing at your face. In a few seconds before turning her attention to the sky, in your mind, a dazzling image unfolds. The endless darkness of space and a tiny metallic box of the spaceship racing towards the planet. Who's inside it? What will they say to the surviving worker drones? And what will they do to you? Your voice shatters the silence. They're coming? To be continued. Damn. I mean, I really like this. It's a really good game. Yeah, there was like so much reading, but other than that, I actually got interested into the story enough to try to read it all. I love the designs of at least 2 of the characters shown, and I guess the Nomad just found this because they haven't made the backgrounds for those parts. As said, there are only like 3 people who made the game, so I can understand why they had a hard time. But yeah, I like the story, and I hope that they they put more into it. Like, I'm guessing that in the end, the signal that they got was like from the disassembly drones that are coming to the planet. So yeah, that was me playing Murder Drones, the first encounter, and I hope you all loved it. And I have to go fix myself now, so bye.